Welcome to chapter 18. This week we are going to meet our third converb, and we are going to have a little look at conditional clauses again. But overall, I would say that this grammar, this chapter is not as heavy on the grammar as some previous chapters have been. So the very first thing that we want to look at is conditional clauses. We have already had a look of conditional clauses of one type. And that is like this sentence when we say "Ichan toleshkin miyat tolam." So if Ichan comes, I too will come. And here we have the syntax is actually, it's really nice and straightforward that we have just two clauses that are formed as if they were normal declarative clauses. Ichan comes, and then postposed if I also will come. And this is a clause where we are stating a real condition, something that is likely to happen even. Maybe he'll come. We assume it might come. And if this likely or real or likely condition is met, then the second parameter will be true. But today we're going to look at a different type of conditional clause. These are so-called factual conditional clauses. Today, we're going to look at so-called counterfactual conditional clauses, where we are talking about conditions that have not been met or that are not likely to be met. And there we would say, for example, "Ichan tolesh ilegen miyat tolam ile." And we always have an ile postposed after the regular form. And this looks a bit like the first compound past tense that we have had, and Mari grammars call this an iteration of the compound past tense one. It's a bit tricky what we call it in the end of the day. Who cares? Form-wise, it's the same. That we have this ille as a particle postposed after, in this case, the present tense forms. And what we're saying here is, if Ichan had come, then I would have come. So we're talking about something that a condition that we already know that it was not met, and as a result of that, the result also didn't happen. If Ichan would have come, I would have come too, but Ichan did not come, and thus I did not come. So this is the one type of counterfactual conditional reading that there is. And there's another reading that is not actually distinguished in the language material. It's from context. You have to figure out which one this is. Unless I'm mistaken, Russian has similar ambiguity. So if you have studied Russian, you will be familiar with this problem. And one is that I am stating that Ichan coming not as something that is completely, that it is excluded, that I already know that it doesn't happen, but that I consider unlikely. That I say, if Ichan were to come, then I would come. But I'm stating this as like not the likely cause of events. And this ambiguity makes it tricky. If we have a sentence like this, Ana serishim nalesh ilegin pesh yiverta ile. If we didn't have the illis, it would be easy. Then it would be Ana serishim naleshkin pesh yiverta. If Anna gets the letter, then she will be happy. But since we don't have that, we have three different readings because we also don't have time information here. It could be if Anna would get the letter, she would be happy. It could be if Anna had gotten a letter, she would be happy now. Or if Anna had gotten a letter, she would have been happy. Like this time dimension is just not encoded in the Mari sentence. We have to figure out from context which reading makes the most sense. Okay, as per usual, interrupt me if you want me to say anything more about a point before I move on to the next point, as I'm about to do now. Yeah, so I promised another converb or gerund, depending on what we want to call them. And this is now what we're calling the gerund of prior action. And this term prior action is always, it gives me cramps in my brain, how exactly then the structuring is, what is after what or what not. This is the first of three converbs that we have that are primarily used for the temporal structuring. Best way to remember it is that mekke is the after. It's the after converb. A mekke form can be translated as after. So, and the formation is just, we have mekke or mek. There's a short form and a long form that we attach to the verbal stem with all the usual processes that we already know and love. So let's try it. And one moment, let's go through, starting with Valentina.
So we have l'audace, l'odmeke.
Very good. Sandra.
Nalash, nalmeke.
Yep. Sonia.
Tunemash, tunemeke.
Exactly, with a geminate M. So like the usual thing that Mari does not have, usually doesn't have length distinctions, but it does on the morpheme boundary, and they can be they can mark meaning differences too, so they're important. Then Luan, the next one.
Kochkash, kochmeke.
Very good. Then Gopal, the next one.
Shinchash, shichmeke.
Very good. And then Valentina again, the last one.
So lektash, lektmeke.
Yeah, the last one of the first conjugation. Second conjugation, there is, as per usual at this point, nothing that we have to worry about overly much. So Sandra.
Vozash, vozimeke.
Yeah. Then Sonia.
Purash, purameke.
Yeah. Then Luan.
Ilash, ilemeke.
Yep. Gopal.
Kilshash, kilshmeke.
Yep. And Valentina.
Kayash, kayimeke.
Very good. So morphologically, this converb does something that the other two converbs that we have met so far doesn't do, and that is that it takes possessive suffixes. And we'll look at what they do in a moment, but roughly it is like to encode the person directly on the converb. Like if you put the possessive suffix of the first person singular on ludmike, it would be after I read something or another. And this is, there are many contexts when one doesn't need this, but there are contexts where this is quite useful. And the possessive suffix is always, is generally attached to the long form. Exception is in the third person singular, there both is possible. You put it to the long form or the short form. And yeah, let's see if we can do this. So after eating, and we'll start with Sandra. After I ate.
Kochmeke.
Kochmekem, very good. Then Sonia.
Kochmeket.
Very good. And then Luan gets the tricky one.
So is this then kochmekche or kochmekische?
Both are possible. You can have kochmekje or you can have kochmekche. And then here voiced because it's after a vowel, and here voiceless because it's after an obstruent consonant. So the usual alternation that we have here. Yeah, then from here on, it's going to be straightforward again. So Gopal, first plural.
Kochmekana.
Kochmekena. Valentina, second plural.
Kochmekeda.
Very good. And Sandra, third plural.
Kochmekisht.
Kochmekisht. That's it. Okay. And one thing that is impossible that I didn't have in the table now is you can also have connected with the possessive suffix the personal pronoun in the genitive, much the same as it was with that adnominal possessive construction when we had like my house, my bicycle, or whatever. And as is the case in the nominal constructions, you only would use this genitive form of the personal pronoun when you want to stress a contrast or something like that. Well, after, like, you might return right to work right after you eat, but after I eat, I need to take a nap or something like that. If you're expressing some kind of contrast like that, then you might use the genitive form of the personal pronoun, but you don't generally have to do it. Okay, here's some straightforward usage examples before we look at the at some of the peculiarities. So if we say Universitätem pythagoremekem, and this is like after I finished university, or after I finish university, or after I will finish university. What is important with these converbs is that they only have a relative temporal value. That it means this here happens before whatever is in the subordinate clause, but the correct translation is to do that, you have to see what time form the subordinate clause is in. It's not as common in English, but it's the same like if you had some after thing with some non-finite verbal form. After eating the pizza, I took a nap. After eating the pizza, I will take a nap. The after eating the pizza part of this does not have any temporal value of its own. It only makes sense in combination with the superordinate clause. Okay. Tuden tol mekuje. After they came. Me vokzalish kaishna. We went to the train station. Tuden kaya meke. After she or he came. And here without the possessive suffix seems to be acceptable. Me malash vosem. I went to bed after she left. Okay. There are 3 little points that I want to look at, and as a note, like I mentioned, that there's a holy trinity of converbs that are used for temporal structuring, where this is the first one. Everything that I'm saying now for this converb will also apply to the other ones once we get there. And so once we get there, I'll just briefly review it because we'll already know it from Mekke. The first one is, if we say here, in these 2 examples, after the herd comes, where will you go? Like in the evening, if you're a farmer and you're waiting for the herd to come in, once the herd is there, you will go. Here we say, kutu tol mekke, herd, come, after, where will you go? And if you say, after Iruk left, Irukken kaya mekkeje, kötolen, who came? You will immediately see a structural difference here. In the first case, we have nominative and then no possessive suffix. And in the second case, we have genitive and then possessive suffix. And this is, again, this is a very usual pattern within within the region. And that is that if we have the agent, if the agent is an animate noun, especially a person who you have with a proper name, we generally like to use the genitive. And if you have the genitive, it is better to have the possessive suffix. If we have either an inanimate noun or like, okay, I mean, technically a herd is animate, but it's not considered as like one living being, then you use the nominative. And if you have the nominative, you cannot have a possessive suffix. You cannot in Mari have like kutu tol mekkeje. That would be completely ungrammatical. So this is the general trend that you have, that if it is abstract item of some sort or thing, nominative plus no possessive suffix. And if it is a being, especially a human being, we'd have genitive and then possessive suffix. But what is notable is that here, the usage of the genitive, it is not actually obligatory. It could also be iruk kayemekke, when you just have iruk and then kayemekke without a possessive suffix. What is not possible is you cannot have kutun tol mekkeje, because this is a rule in Mari that is it's not as ironclad today as it used to be, but in the old days, inanimate nouns didn't even have genitive forms. Like if you look at the language of the late 19th century, you will not find inanimate nouns in the genitive. You would not find like pörten ever or so. That the usage of the genitive was restricted to either animates or to inanimates that are somehow anthropomorphized or something in a narrative or something like that. Still working on the exact parameters governing the distinction here. It seems to have something to do like with the information structure. So, but get back to me in a year or so about what exactly determines the choice of these 2 patterns that we have here. Regardless of how we do the agent marking, though, one thing that is possible here, which we didn't really have with other converbs, is that we can have a different agent with the gerund than we have some in the main clause, because the other 2 converbs that we had so far can't do this. You can't with like the de without converb. You can't say like without Anush giving me the money, I won't go to the cinema, where you have Anush in the one sentence and me in the other as the subject. That doesn't work. But with meke, it works. That you have like the herd is the subject of the first one of the tolmeke, and then te, you, second person plural, is the subject in the other one. So it is possible here to have a different subject in the two clauses that we have. Yeah, so the second point I want to illustrate we have already seen, and that is that that tolmeke, it only has a relative temporal value. If I say Küçük tolmeke te kuş kayda, where will you go? Present or future reading. Future seems more likely. But if so after the herd comes sometime in the future, where will you go? But if I say te kuş kayışta, first past tense, where did you go? Küçük tolmeke. Then this is like before the past, after the herd came, where did you go? As a function of this is why a language like Mari doesn't need to have fancy tense categories like past perfect or pluperfect or plusquamperfect. And there's a compound tense that is often labeled that, but that's a somewhat dubious classification in my opinion. Or things like, if you know from German, things like the Futur 2, like if you have something that happened before the thing in the future, or isn't there in English also this term future perfect? I will have done this by Saturday or something like that. You don't need to have crazy tenses like that if you have these, if you have converbs that have a relative temporal value. Okay. Third little point I wanted to discuss is, that there is a similarity in structure between the dechvara construction that we have looked at, like pensiish lek me dechvara and pensiish lek meke. We are labeling them here as synonymous. As we will see when we get to words and word usage, oftentimes things that are labeled as synonymous are not fully equivalent. But I can't at this point tell you anything about what parameters distinguish these from one another. So, yeah. Any other questions about this converb before we move on to the next point?
Like, what exactly is the difference between the n converb and this? Like, is it like this one specifies two events, like other than the same subject thing?
Yeah,
right, both of them can like denote an event that occurs before another event.
Yes, they can. So in simplest terms, I would say that this one really stresses the temporal succession. That is like after ba 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 ba. Whereas the converb in n, I mean, the converb in n is kind of like the Swiss Army knife converb that you can use for various different applications. And one of them was like, well, when we had the temporal succession, but it would be like more like having taken the book I left or so. That it's sort of like, it's just, it's like, it's more, you are the information that you're encoding with the converb with n, it is more like an adverbial modification, like a circumstance with which you carry out the main clause. Like having taken the book I left. How did I leave having taken the book? So it's like instructive in that way. Whereas if you do meke, you are more focusing on the serialization of the events. After I took the book I left. So I did one thing and then afterwards I did that thing. Is that in any way helpful?
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, then the next point, we're going to go back to something which we have already mentioned. We have already seen in a preview, but now we want to learn it systematically. And that is, let's go back to plural suffixes. We have already met 3 plural suffixes. Today we're going to meet our 4th one. So when looking at plural suffixes, we had 2 different types of plural suffixes. We had the so-called additive plural. For example, if we say pyrresvlak or pyrresschamich, it's cats. It is several things it's also sometimes called a homogeneous plural. It is several things that fall into the same category. We have the category of cat, and here we have 3 of them that fall into this category, so we just say cats. Pyrrhus, Flacco, Pyrrhus, Shamich. And then we have also met the so-called associative plural with the ending mit, which is like, those of you that know Hungarian, it's like Hungarian ek. In English, the closest thing in English you can come up with is and co. Like if you know the old Disney movie Oliver and Co, it's like Oliver and his friends, where Oliver is it's like Oliver Twist just with animals. So it's like Oliver is a cat, but then he has the dogs as his friends. So it's Oliver et al, Oliver and friends or whatnot. And that's what in the associative plural, et al. So that's what an associative plural is. So like we have in Pyrismit, the cat and buddies. But what we're looking at today is the short plural form with the ending la, which, unless I'm completely mistaken, it is a cognate. It's cognate with the Finnish collective noun suffix la, which we have like in Finnish. We have kana, the chicken, and kanala is like the hen house, the place where the chickens hang out, the place of the chickens. In Mari, if we have ola, the city, and we attach the plural suffix la to it, we have then with ola la a plural form which is primarily used in locational references, where you could say ola lashte, in the cities, ola lashke, into the cities, to the cities, ola lash, a lative, or with postpositions ola la guch, from the cities. This is primarily what you use it for, in just locational expressions. If we look at some usage examples, the ones from the textbook, we will see this, we'll see a few that fall into this category. We have chodora lashte, mogai yemish kushkesh. So what kind of berries grow in, chodorashe would be in the forest, and chodora lashte would be just in the forest. And Kevin points out that Finnish la also shows up in plurals in some Finnish dialects and Balto-Finnic languages. Cool. Yeah. Okay, this also works in the same way. Mogai olalashe shukopertemestad. Shukopertemestad, they, so impersonal, make many houses. And then I ask mogai ola lashte, in what cities? But in the last 2 sentences that we have here it's being used just sort of as a normal plural suffix without a spatial reference. And so, okay, this is some information that's not in the textbook, but that I can give you, is that this is connected with language planning. And specifically the question, so we already looked at the vlak and the shamich, those 2 plural suffixes we already know. And Hill-Mari then has the wonderful plural suffix vla. So it's like the close to vlak, but it's no K, and it's very distinctively an a, vla, no vowel harmony in this case. So, and at some point in the 20th century, when there were attempts to also create one unified literary standard for all Mari varieties, sort of trying to emulate the Finnish system, because the Mari literary standards, as we know them, the Hill-Mari and Meadow-Mari standards, they very closely adhere to specific dialects. Hill-Mari, the Hill-Mari dialect, and Meadow-Mari, the varieties of Mari spoken in the Marki and Sernur districts of the Mari Republic. So the idea was, well, let's try to do it the Finnish way, because the Finnish like literary Finnish is basically a Frankenstein's monster of a language. It's cut together from various like elements of various dialects, but nowhere in Finland would one speak literary Finnish by default. Well, the only exception would be places maybe like Jyväskylä or so, that just have been settled relatively recently, where you didn't have enough time to have like a local local dialect to form. But generally, so the literary Finnish has a lot of Western Finnish in it, and also has a lot of Eastern Finnish in it. And this seems weird. Why do I have a literary standard that nobody speaks? But it has some very distinct advantages. And that is that literary Finnish doesn't belong to anyone. You don't have this this kind of structural tensions where it's people in one part of the country feel like they speak better Finnish than other people from another part, because nobody speaks like that. It's an abstraction. It's like it is clear that it is there to create a unified framework for everyone to communicate in. And this is not there at all in Mari. Now, I mean, this is mostly it's a factor of just the general Russian standard language thinking, that there is in Russian general, the thinking is it's very strong that for every language, there's one correct way of speaking it. And this also applies to Russian, that like Russian native speakers generally will have this idea that the big authors, people like Tolstoy and Chekhov and Dostoevsky and Pushkin, they really knew to speak Russian. And my Russian it fades in comparison with the Russian of these great authors. And like this kind of Russian standard language thinking has also been transferred to a way to Mari. And if you now have a literary standard that adheres strictly to one dialect, this automatically frames speakers of other varieties of Mari as incompetent speakers in a way, because your speech differs from this literary norm. So, and Mari linguists that were conscientious of this problem tried to, at some point, like create a unified literary standard for all Mari varieties that has all the advantages of the Finnish one. And there, when they had vla, vlak, and shamach for the plural, they tried to push la as a universal plural suffix for all Mari speakers. So this was like from above, or let's say the side, because it's not like Mari linguists have that much power. There was an attempt to really push this, the usage of la as a normal plural suffix with limited success, but you do encounter it. So the first two sentences, this is like the prototypical, stereotypical usage of it in locational expressions. And here, if we have it used like vlak, basically, that's a result of 20th century language planning. Okay. The next point is one where I'm sad that we don't have our Turkologist friends here today. This is a somewhat weird thing. This is just something specific in this chapter. And in this chapter, Evai Kugaza he's working on the field, and he starts mowing the field, and his family follow after him to continue the mowing. And what it is, it's Tuden Pocesh after him, Evai Kugaza in this case, Mole Stadt Shogalic. So Shogalic is actually, it's like standing somewhere, but here it also has a secondary meaning of starting something. So after him started Mole Stadt. So we have Molo is other, and at is also, but what is this st doing here? Because this is the possessive suffix third person plural. And why is it after him, their others start? And the Mari native speakers that we worked with, they said that, yeah, sometimes with the st, that you're just not sure if it is plural of the possessor or the possessum, the thing that you have, or the owner. And like, I have two theories of what is going on here, and I really don't know what it is. And the one of them is that it's actually a secondary meaning here, that we have the possessive suffix of the third person plural can also sometimes be used as like a part of a whole, like some of them or so. If we have like usual is some and usisht is some of them or so. So maybe it's like some of the others that follow. I don't know. The other theory, and that's what we have in the textbook now, because that's what our Mari native speaker said, is that, yeah, it just gets fuzzy. And the Turkological dimension is that in Turkic languages, in the third person plural, there is indeed no distinction between plurality of possessor or plurality of possessum. Meaning, if we have like kızları in Tatar, kız is daughter or girl, and kızları can either be his, her, singular daughters, plural. It can be their daughter, singular, like two people have one daughter. Or it can be their two people, daughters, plural. So if we have like kızları, we just know kızları, we just know it's something is plural here, but we don't know which one. We have to figure that out from context. So I could imagine that this ambiguity has bled over from Tatar into Mari, but I don't know, end of the day. Okay.
May I ask a question? Sorry
Yeah,
to
sure.
interrupt. what is molo probably? What kind of noun is it, or what part of speech would it be without the possessive suffix and the at?
It can be either an adjective or noun other. So it can be
Other.
like molo plus a noun is the other, like, I don't know, like molo yochavlak would be the other children. And if I say molovlak, it's just the others without specifying what it is.
And may it be that it refers to the other members of his family, because in the text it says after he started mowing the field, his family came along. So they are kind of connected to him in a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they are, but it doesn't. But then it doesn't explain why is it not molejat or something like that. Why is it not a singular possessive suffix? And I feel uneasy about this.
It's not very transparent, yeah, but it's clear now.
Yeah. Okay, then we can fairly soon get to this text because word and words usage, there is nothing overly wild this week, I would say. The first thing, this ik, at, this we've already had. We already looked at when we looked at the negative pronouns in chapter 16. We had iktat as like ikte one plus this additive particle at. And if I say iktat koden ogel, it would be not nobody state, not one state. But we can also have ik and then a noun and at to say not one or whatever. Like ik mutemat umelo. So one word, accusative, and then this additive at. When I say I don't understand a single word. And now we're going to also actually see it in the text, I believe. Yeah. Next two slides are next 2 points are more words that fall into this multi-part directional system that we've had for some spatial adverbs and postpositions. The first one, this is where this Allah, it's a Tatar prefix for indefinite. So it's basically, it's just the question words that we had for where, from where, to where, etc. with a prefix. So ala kushko is like somewhere, to somewhere. Ala kushto is somewhere. Ala kushech is from somewhere. Then we also have this another row of like kushke being upwards. Kushner is up at the top, and kushech is from above, like something falls from above. And with üleke, we have downwards. Ülne is at the bottom. Ülech is from below. And I can just tell you that just like from my language instinct from knowing other Uralic languages and also like having Ulic as downwards really irritated me because it feels like it should be upwards in a way. I can't rationally explain it, but I had to really drill myself to get this one right. Yeah, and there is also one family of postpositions that we should learn based on the noun kokla, which we have here as middle, but it's sort of like also gap, interval, space in between. And it is used in some highly idiomatic expressions also. And this, again, sorry, our Turkologist friends are not here, but this, I would say, mirrors the Turkic languages. That, like in Tatar, you have ara for like gap that is used quite like this. So if you say like koklash, koklashke, it's like into the middle, or so into the gap, into the interval, but it also means like into the mix in a way. If I say koklashte, it means like in the gap, in the middle, but it also just means among, like among various people or among other abstract units. And if I say koklagich, it means from the middle of, but also it means like from among, from like from among a group. And we can see this in the example sentence where we have some of them that the first ones that are now very literal. Oh no, they're not. They're all of them. All of them are pretty figurative. Like yen koklash it puro. It's like don't step between people, and what it means is don't meddle in their business or so. And oh boy, it gets romantic now. Shuko million shüda koklashte Skenden Schülerretten Kachal. So among the many millions of stars, search for your very own one. So it's like from among million stars or something like that. Or here we say, out of all the students, the very best is sent to the regional competition. So here it is, Chila Student, the basic group that we have, kokla, like from the midst of this group that we have set here. Okay, the next point is one where one could reason that it's not Mari that it's strange, it's English, or rather Western European languages in general. And that is that we, in English, we have a distinction between young and new. Those are completely different things, but the opposites are the same. What is someone that is not young? Old. What is something that is not new? Old. So old can be either one of those, but Mari distinguishes between this, that if we have a person who is not old, that person is Samarik, and when that person becomes old, it is Shongo. But if we are looking at things, for example, and we want to say that something is new, then we have U, and then we have Tошто as old, as when something is not new. Sometimes you would find in some reference materials it says that Tошто is only used for inanimate nouns and Shongo is only used for animate nouns. This is not entirely true, because I mean, like you in English could have an old friend. If you're like want to say an old friend is not a friend who is old in years, but a friend who has been your friend for many years, then you and Mari would also say Tошто yoltash. But if you say, so Tошто yoltash is now the opposite of a U yoltash, the opposite of a new friend. So a friend who you have known for much of your life, but you're not shaming this person's age. You're just saying that you have spent a lot of your life together. But if you say Shongo yoltash, it would really be a friend who is old in years. The opposite of Samarik yoltash. Yeah. All of these can also be used as nouns. And an interesting thing is if you look up, well, interesting and Alakush was in the Quad song, right? Alakush Chongestem, I fly somewhere. I only saw the note now. Yeah. One thing that is both interesting and depressing is if you look up Shongo in a lot of Mari Russian lexical sources, it is translated as old woman. And the first time Timothy Risa and I saw this, we thought, old woman, why on earth old woman? Why not old person? This is just a factor of Russian demographics. You don't have that many old men. Like over a certain age, the gender disparity is so radical that you have such an overwhelmingly overwhelmingly many more women than you have men, that Shongo nominalized usually is understood to refer to a woman. That, I mean, you can have a Shongo Peryeng, an old man. You could have Shongo of like the old without any gender distinction, but if you say Shongo on its own, the natural reading is feminine. Okay. Something less depressing and more weird. So I promised that we would be looking at some synonyms and the distinction between them. So Jap and pagıt. Both of these we have learned as time. Pagıt is a wonderful Arabic loan, ultimately. I think it's waqt or something like that in Arabic. And so what is the difference between these two? Well, the gut feeling that I have, which is just a gut feeling, so it's not in the textbook, is that Jap would be more like, is more specific in a way. That it would be like in reference to a specific time or whatnot, whereas pagıt has a more abstract feel to it, like the time of one's youth or something like that. But to show that this is really not clear cut, I looked in the corpus, specifically at collocations. Collocations, a co-occurrence of lexemes with one another. Specifically, the four seasons: Shosho, Kengej, Shije, Tele. So spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And how often do Mari say Shosho Jap, like springtime, and how much do they say Shosho Pagıt, springtime? And what is utterly fascinating is that there is not a clear pattern. There are big distinct differences between these. So with like Shije, it is much more common to say like with shosho, it's much more common to say pagıt than it is to say jap. But with like shije, you would more commonly say jap than pagıt. So I don't know if shosho pagıt just has like a more abstract feel to it, like the springtime that it feels more like not a specific time interval that we're looking at, but more like as an abstract, the not now time of the year when everything is nice outside. I don't know. But so the distinction between these two is worth further investigation. I know I say that a lot. Okay. Away from synonyms to homonyms, just a quick note, oпташ. There are two verbs, oпташ, that have nothing to do with one another, though they're both second conjugation verbs. Oпташ, a transitive verb to put, to place, to set, but also to pour water, and oпташ, to bark. So if we have Anush vüdüm opta, it's Anush is pouring water, but then we could also have Shemech opta. It doesn't look like he's doing it on the picture, but I couldn't find a picture of him barking. So just make sure not to keep these, not to get these mixed up. So back to synonyms. Another one where the corpus was interesting. So we have motor and sılne, two words that are translated as beautiful and that we label as equivalent. And what I did now is that I just looked at collocations. What words most commonly occur with motor and sılne in the corpus of 52 million tokens? And does anyone want to make any guesses? What might the most common collocations be with motor and or sılne? Also based on Mari songs that you have heard.
Probably the one is more often used with like persons, and the other one, I don't know.
Yes, and partially.
My money is on Uder.
Yes, very good. It's like things and abstract concept is one thing, but there is also clearly a gender dimension here. That if we look at motor, for example, here by far the most common one is motorüder. And here we have okay, these are like this is actually the noise that if I was working on a paper I clean it out, motor da, because something else is coming. Motorüderem, okay, that's again motorüder in the accusative, and also we have uppercase things here. Motorüderemash, and here we have a beautiful woman, and the motor Mari. So it is apparently possible to say beautiful man with motor. Also with kache it works. And then, with sılne, we also have, we do start the sılne muro is the most common. So we do have more commonly like abstract things or like not people. But what is interesting is that we have sılne Mari comes first before you have Uder. So it's like for the motor is like, this is the stereotypical framing, not mine. Motor is like usually seen as sort of the feminine beauty, and sılne is sort of like similar, like English handsome or so, or something like that oftentimes. And I mean, I just know from the problems I've had of my own, like in Hungarian class, when learning the word szép as beautiful, and the teacher asked, can you say szép with, so of course you can say szép, beautiful woman, but can you say szép férfi, a beautiful man? And then the teachers will say, no, you can't say that. And I like there's the revolutionary side of me that wants to say, yeah, watch me, stop me. But in practice, if you didn't look at the linguistic reality, there is something to it that most people don't do this. And so you have a similar divide here that, that sılne is more more common to use it for a man. Okay. I have no idea why this slide is here again. It shouldn't be. Last note for today is yocsa and икшыве for child. I can't give you any specifics here on the distinction between these two. Child, interestingly, is another point where there's a lot of dialectal variation between varieties of Mari. What is used for child? These are the two that are used in the standard language. In other dialects, you will also encounter the word yoga. Then there is the word aza, which in standard meta Mari means baby, but in some varieties of Mari is also used for elder children. And in Hill Mari, they mostly use titya from Russian deity and the such. So my guess here with yochan икшыве is less that there are some like factual distinctions in the usage and more that it's like just forms from different dialects that are then used. I mean, yocha is also a loan word, chuvash, I believe. Okay. Anything else before we get to the text? Okay, then let's get to the text, and we can see our countryside skills when it comes to this text. I have experience from classes in Vienna that when we read this text, we'll often have like the city bumpkins, like those of us who were grown and raised in Vienna, who there's things in this text and we don't understand what's happening. And then there's always one person in the class from Styria who starts up, well, this is obvious, and starts explaining to us how it works on a field. We'll see how we fare here in the urban or rural divide in this class. Okay, I think I forgot to turn on the sound. I'll have it in a moment. There we go.
Паша тургым.
Did everybody hear that? Okay, so Pasha Turgam, I don't even remember how we translated in the textbook, like the flurry of work or so. The time of the year when the work gets really intensive. And yeah, one moment. And let's start sentence by sentence. I'll play again. And let's start with Valentina.
Сылне кеҥеж кече.
So it's a beautiful summer day.
Yep. The next one goes to Sandra.
Канде каваште ик пылат огеш кой.
There is not a single cloud in the blue sky.
Correct. Then Sonia.
Яллаште шудо солымо пагыт тӱҥалын.
In the villages or in the countryside, the time of haymaking started.
Yeah. Here I would translate as villages because we have a plural marker here, and if there's a plural marker, then I would think that they mean actual like villages. Then Luan.
Пӱнчеръял уремыште шып, ик чонат уке.
On the streets of Finno-Ugristik or outside of Finno-Ugristik, it is quiet and not a single like soul is there.
Yeah, not a single living thing or something like that, which to me would more imply some kind of horror movie scenario and not haymaking season. But yeah, I have some things to learn about life in the Yal. Okay, Gopal next.
Эсогыл икшыве ден шоҥго еҥжат пасушто улыт.
Even the children and old people are in the fields.
Yep. Then Valentina again.
Эвайын суртыштат таче чыланат пеш эр кынелыныт.
So today, everyone got up very early in Evi's farmhouse.
Yeah. So also in Evi's farmhouse. Great. Then Sandra.
На чодрашке шудо солаш каят.
They are going to the forest to mow the grass.
Yep. Which at first sounded like a strange thing for me to do, to go to the forest to mow the grass. But the explanation we got there is that often you'll have some forest and the fields are behind the forest. So you have to go through the forest to get to the fields. Okay. Then Sonia.
Эвайын олыкшо ял деч мӱндырнӧ огыл, Сандена нунатушка йолын каят да вашке миен шуыт.
Advice okay, Advice Meadow is not far from the village, and therefore they walk there and they get there soon.
Yep, very good. Then Luan.
Олык йыр лоҥга чодыра.
Wait, so the meadow, wait, what was the year again?
Around.
Oh, around the meadow is wait, sorry.
No problem.
Was this like a big forest or
A thick forest,
a
like
thick
dense.
forest? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no problem. Then Gopal next.
Чодыраште куку мура.
So like cuckoos sing in the forest.
Yep. And then Valentina.
Ала-кушеч кӱшыч турий-муро йӱк шокта.
So from somewhere above, a lark starts singing.
Yeah, or like you can hear the song of a
You can
lark.
hear.
Okay, then Sandra.
Шокта. Шудо коклаште йошкар мӧр кӱэш.
In the middle of the grass, red berries ripen.
Okay, just a note that Mör is another one where there's a lot of dialectal variation, that in some varieties of Mari it's like berries general, and in some varieties of Mari it is wild strawberries. So that different Mari speakers will have a different understanding of what a Mör is. Okay, then Sonia.
Эвай кугыза йырваш ончале, саважым солалтыш да тӱҥ корным тӱҥале.
Grandpa Evi looks around, or he kind of like observes what it looks like.
Yeah, he looked around past incidents.
Yeah. And he sharpened his scythe, and he started the first row.
Yeah, and this was like the first time when we had this in class, I was confused, and then the student from Styria said, well, that's how you mow a field, that you have one person has to do a clear line, and that's the hardest one, and then after that line is there, it's easy because then you just have to like chip off the path that is already there. Okay, one moment, I wanted to check one thing in the textbook. And so then Luan is next.
Тудын почеш молыштат шогальыч.
So after him, the others like stand up.
Yeah, it's literally stand up, but it's like start. It's also yeah, it's idiomatic in this case. Okay, then Gopal.
Ова-влак йыл-йол веле койыт.
Okay, you got the stupidest sentence, sorry.
Yeah, so it's already translated, so like sites glitter here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, we'll get back to these. These are these so-called descriptive words that the languages of the Volga Kama region have tons of these. And like yil-yol, it's like descriptive. It's like there's a lot of it is onomatopoeia, imitating sounds. But it's not just that. You then also have imitating visual expressions and imitating emotional states. And where you just wonder, imitating emotional states, what the hell? And then like even with the auditive ones, you find the descriptions in the sources that seem so insanely specific that you wonder if they're pulling your leg. Like when we were working on the dictionary, we found hundreds of these. And some of them would be like some I don't know, flip or so is the sound of a medium-sized oblong water stone that falls into shallow and wavy water. And then we wonder, okay, but what if the water is not wavy? What if it is not completely shallow or is a bit deeper? Can one then not use this word anymore? But the sources give you this kind of information. And my experience is that the Maoris have a surprisingly good feel for this, like what these descriptive words, when is appropriate context to use is. And yil yol is, for example, that's in the glistening in the sun. When like metal surfaces reflect light, then Maoris like to use yil yol in this context. Okay, then Valentina gets the next one.
Паша дене жап шижде ерта.
So I guess it's like time flies when you're busy or when there's a lot of work or when you're working.
Yeah. So like in English, you say time flies when you're having fun, and in Mari, you say time flies when you're having work. So what is Gopal saying? Apparently, the sensation of realizing you can do something reprehensible and no one is there to witness it. Oh my God, that is so good. Oh God, I'm gonna have to look this up. Okay, then.
Sorry to interrupt him, Jeremy. I think you should ask some of your Mari friends if they have an expression for that as well.
Yeah. I can also think of some non-Mari friends who would have frequent use of such an expression. Okay, now it was Sandra's turn.
Смарте, но над делянкам сонен патаренът.
Sorry, the beginning of that was missing, but it was Kasmarte.
Until the evening, they, what's the Delyanka?
Delyanka, it's a Russian word, it's like a plot or so.
They will have finished mowing the plot.
Yeah. I mean, the way I understand it is that it's like just like a Soviet relic that like the public, even though the lands are owned by the public, you still have allotments of like farmers who's responsible for what and such. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I say a communist relic. It's I mean, parts of Germany have a similar system, like the way that the dikes in northern Germany are maintained. They're publicly owned, but they are allotted to farmers. Okay, then Sonia is next. I'll maybe go back a bit.
Евай кога запеш я въртен.
Oh, an easy one?
Grandpa Evai is very happy.
Yep. Then Luan gets a bit of, it's a bit more difficult, but we already had it at some point.
Пеш я въртен. Вет Сергеден ялу толын огът кертелеган. Кунам туда шкетан чела солен патарале.
So Sergei and Yelu, if Sergei and Yelu like weren't able to haven't been able to come.
Yeah, we have some layers of modality here. Yeah, if they have not been able to come. Yeah.
And he wouldn't have finished mowing everything alone. And then there's Konam, and I don't know what to do with that.
It's like when would have he managed to finish?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah, that's not actually, it's not negation, but it's like when would have he? Okay, then Gopal.
Уважа ден уна каже, мюнгъща сурт покла паша мащалът. Но на пак че...
Okay.
So grandmother and grandchild are doing like housework in in the field.
Yeah, and more around like around the farm. The sult is the like the farmstead, like the farmhouse and its outlying buildings.
Right.
Okay, then Valentina again.
Ыштылыт. Нуно пакчаште шоган, ковышта, кешыр йыраҥыш вӱдым оптат, шӱкшудым сомлат, емыжым погат.
Okay, sorry, you get a lot.
It's okay. I hope I remember all the vegetables. So they water, I guess, onions, carrots, and cabbage in the garden.
Yeah, or it's more. I would more read it like yirang is like a bed in the as like a vegetable bed. So it's like they water the onion beds, the cabbage beds, and the carrot beds.
And then I was not sure, but I guess they have to remove the weeds.
That is correct. They weed the weeds basically. Yeah.
And they pick berries.
They pick berries. Very good. Then Sandra.
Шӱкшудым сомлат, емыжым погат. Кастене кӱтӱ толмеке, ушкал ден шорыкым вӱташ пуртат, вольыкым пукшат, шудо солышо-влакын олмашешышт кас кочкышым ямдылат.
Okay, that was longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, me too. So in the evening, after the herd came, they okay. I forgot what vitash purtash is.
Okay, vita is a stable or a shed, like the place where the animals live.
They lead the cows and sheep to the stables. Then they feed the other animals I can't think of.
It's cattle or like just it's the animals in general. It's both of them. Then here.
Oh, okay, they feed them, and oh my god, and by the time the grass mowers come in the evening, the dinner will be ready.
Yeah, they prepare the dinner
in time
for the coming of the grass mows. Very good. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, in the next chapter, we're going to hear even more about Kolcho's life. Okay, then let's do the listening comprehension for this chapter. And one moment.
Паша тургым.
Oh, sorry. I just have to make sure I have the. There we go. Okay. So next up was Sonia, and I'll play one sentence and then give it back and translate it.
Могай сомна кеҥеж кече.
Sonan kengеш кече. There was something at the beginning which I didn't catch, but I would say it's something like it's a beautiful summer day.
Yeah, let's see if we can figure out the first day. She does say it a bit unclearly.
Могай сомна кеҥеж кече.
I can't hear you.
Mogai. So what a beautiful summer day.
What a beautiful summer day. Yep. And then sorry, Luan.
Kava kande.
So Kavakande, the sky is blue.
And then the second half of it.
Ik palat okoj.
was ist ich, I guess it's, wait, ich vill, or it sounds like palat, but I guess it's like more a cloud, or
Yep.
okay, so ik vill okoy, not a single cloud is seen.
Correct. Yeah. Then Gopal, one moment.
Ала-кушто кӱшнӧ турий муро йӱк шокта.
Ала-кушко, can you please repeat that once?
Палат ок кой. Ала-кушто кӱшнӧ турий муро йӱк шокта.
Ала-кушко, I heard like turi muro, so like lark voice, yuk shokta. I think this was a part of the story, right? Yeah. I can't catch the word between.
Yeah, it's no problem. It's a bit tricky. It was a bit different in the text. It's ala kushto kushne. So somewhere above, somewhere up there, the sound of the lark song, or like the lark song sound is heard. Right. Then Valentina.
Кеҥеж жап паша тургым пагыт.
So I heard Kengesh job, Pasha Turgen Paget. So summertime is like busy time or harvest time.
Yeah, it's like the work flurry time or something, however we want to translate it. Yep, so that was right. Then Sandra.
Ял калык мӱкшла пашам ышта.
Should I play it again?
Yeah, please. I didn't catch all.
Кеҥеж жап паша тургым пагыт.
That was too far.
I can do that though.
Ял калык мӱкшла пашам ышта.
So it's Yal Kalik. Yal Kalik Mukshotar Pashamishta. So the village people are working at the apiary?
Almost, but it's more idiomatic. The
They're busy as bees.
Exactly. Mükshla Pashamishtat. They work like.
Mükshla.
And there's a second half of the sentence still.
Okay.
Шудым сола. Вольыкым онча.
So they're mowing the grass. And then the other one I didn't catch because I didn't anticipate there would still be something.
Oh, sorry, I'll play it again. Or Shudam Sola, they cut the grass, and the last one was?
Шудым сола. Вольыкым онча.
Yeah. It's the thing with the cattle again, but I didn't catch the verb, like oncha, but
yeah, that's it. So it's volikum oncha. Literally, it's like they look at the cattle, but it's like to look after the cattle.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, with cattle, it's like volik. So Mari doesn't really have one word for animal. or one word that matches English animal. They mostly use the words voljuk and janlik, and where the distinction is that voljuk is like a domesticated animal and janlik is a wild animal. Okay, but usually then voljuk would be like farm animals and cattle and sheep and the such. Okay, then yeah, then Sonia gets the next one. It's again a long one, but I hope that there are breaks in the recording. See?
Пакчаштат, сурт коклаштат тӱрлӧ пашам ыштыман.
Пачаште, коклашт. That was. Could you play it again and just pause it after the phrases? Thank you.
Yeah. So it's probably too far again. Let me see.
Вольык монча. Пакчаштат, сурт.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. In the gardens.
Praktischstadt. So
Even in the gardens.
Yeah, and then the second one was
Сурт коклаштат тӱрлӧ.
And it's like around the farm.
Yeah. And the at here it's coordinating. So both in the garden and around the farm. And then the rest of the sentence was
Сурт коклаштат тӱрлӧ пашам ыштыман.
There are different types of jobs to be done.
Different types of jobs must be done. Yep, that's correct. Then Luan.
Икшыве-влак ача-аваштлан полшат.
So икшыве-влак ача-аваштлан полшат. The children are helping the parents.
Very good. And then Gopa gets what I think is the last one.
Ялыште кеҥежым паша эре шуко.
Ялыште кеҥежын. Can you replay that once?
Yep, sure. One moment.
Ялыште кеҥежым паша эре шуко.
Right. So pasha ere shuko. So in the summer in the village, there's a lot of work.
Yep, there's always a lot of work. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Then let's get away from this and do a few of the exercises. Okay. Okay, so here we'll start with simple translate from Mari, and we know that these are ambiguous. So any legitimate translation is I will accept. Then let's start with Valentina again.
Okay, so my tidem palem iler gin tudlan ingirtem ila. So if I had known this, I would. I forgot what ingirtash means.
Oh my, ingirtem malam, SMS salam.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's
Yes.
always about this song. So I would call. Yeah, so I wouldn't have, or I would have called him or her.
Yep, exactly. And here's one where like just the context makes one of the readings more possible. That probably if one is expressing regret, one talks about something that one didn't do. Okay, then Sandra.
Tudo vudem ok opta ilegen chila saska koshka ile. If he, she, they had, yeah, hadn't had,
It's like in English, had not.
yeah, had not watered the plant. No,
Yeah.
had not. Yeah, the plant in parentheses probably. All the fruits would have dried out.
Yep, that's it. If he, she, they hadn't poured water, then okay, then Sonia.
Той даче от тол ила gun tudum от ush ila. If you hadn't come today, you wouldn't have seen him or her.
Yep, very good. Then Luan.
So tudo pashashim rushanyanten alish Eliagen tachimachta pitara Elia if he, she, they hadn't started his or their work on Sunday, he, she, they would have finished it until today.
Yeah, if they had started on Sunday. Yeah. Okay, then Gopal, the last one.
Michu sirsham okvoza alye gun. My tol alye. So if Michu hadn't written the letter, I wouldn't have come.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. The second one, yeah, I think we can do it. Starting with Valentina again, where we just want to continue it with and if necessary negate it and then translate it.
Okay. Tudo kinelesh ilagin. Okay. I would say Shuko Pasham Ishten Kerta.
Conjugation class?
I forgot.
It's first, so.
So Kertesh.
Kertesh, yeah.
Kertesh. So if he, she, they had gotten up early, they could have done a lot of work.
Exactly. Then Sandra, the second one.
Tudo ok kinjel ilegen. Shukupasham ishten ok ketish ile.
Ok.
Ket ile.
Yes.
If he, she, they had not gotten up early, they would not have managed to finish the work, do the work.
Exactly. Then Sonia.
Me yon kai ila gun
No, the third one still.
Sorry. Me yon kayem ila gun so it's like I would have walked.
Yeah, if I had walked.
Yeah, I would have been late.
Probably, yeah.
So varash kodam ila.
Very good. And then Luan.
Me Jolin omgael again Barash omgod alien.
Yep, and the exact opposite. Then Gopal.
Tai malanem viudam optash pulshit alyegan. Pasham vashkirak ok patare. So if you like don't help me to water the like plants or something, the work will not end quickly.
Though pitarash is more, it's transitive, so it's like pasham bashkerak pitarem ele. I would finish the work more quickly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep. And then Valentina.
Okay. Темеланjem будем опташ от Польша или гин. Kinosh omshue ile.
Omshu ele.
Omshu ile. So if you hadn't helped me water the plants, I wouldn't have gone to the cinema.
Yeah, I wouldn't have made it to the cinema. Yeah. They actually, in the key, we have it with plural, that you're actually going to the cinema with the other person, like ona shule. We wouldn't have made it. Okay, then Sandra again.
Počelamutem organizacijom ili gen, kokita nem nalada ili?
Nalada ele.
If they had if you, if all y'all had not learned that poem, you would have failed the class.
Yeah. You would have gotten a 2, which in the Russian educational system, not great. Okay, so
wait, just 1 second. I have a question in that, like to finish, would something like pataraltash be the intransitive one?
pitash is the intransitive one.
Oh, okay, patash.
But you can, if you want, you can be really silly with derivational suffixes here. So pitash is to finish intransitive, like I don't know, film vashke pita, the film will end soon. Pitarash is intransitive, it's transitive to finish something, but then you can, in theory, also have another reflexive passive derivation of that, pitaraltash, to be finished or so, like something will be brought to an end soon. Okay, point 3, I think we can skip 3 and 4. This is a more examples of conditional clauses like japet liesh ilegen mom ishtet ilia. If you had the time, what would you do? I would go to my grandmother, etc. You can practice this intransitively. And what would happen if you had like here, if I became the director, headmaster, I would have a secretary. If it wouldn't rain, I would collect mushrooms in the forest, etc. And number 5 is also translating into Mari. If you can do these on your own till next week if you want. Let's still do like 2 exercises and before we call it a day for today, and then continue with the next week. And yeah, so now we want to form the this is very Mari. If she hadn't drunk cold water, she wouldn't have gotten sick. Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, one moment. Yeah, I think it's Sonia's turn. So we just want to form the meke gerunds of these thing. And yeah, Sonia.
Kayash, kayemeke.
Then Luan.
Wuchash, wuchimeke.
Yeah. Then Gopal.
Kutarash, kutarameke.
Yeah. So please somebody say stop or so if we have if you don't know the translation of a verb. Or maybe let's just say after what you do, like kutrameke after talking or so. Then Valentina.
Shinchash, shichmeke, after sitting.
After sitting down, yeah. Then Sandra.
Pugash, pugimeke, after collecting.
Yeah. Then Sonia.
Polshash, polshemeke, after helping.
Yeah. Then Luan.
Manash, manmeke, after saying.
Yeah. Then Gopal.
Kolashtash, kolashneke, after listening.
Yep. Then Valentina.
Yoktash, yoktemeke, but it's not drinking, is it?
It's derived from that. It's actually, it's a causative.
Watering?
After giving to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Sandra?
Yuash, yumeke, after drinking.
Yep. And Sonia?
Actually, I'm not quite sure what erektash is.
It's another causative one. So irash is to get warm, and erektash is to make something warm, to warm transitive.
Okay, and I suppose it was in the lecture when Anush was Charle.
I think so, yes.
It's like warming up the milk or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And it's the first conjugation, isn't it?
No, it's second.
This
is something where one can know that like this causative KT marker always forms verbs of the second conjugation. So if you have a causative form with KT, it's always second conjugation.
So urektemeke after warming up something.
Yep. Then Luan?
Shonash, shonimeke, after thinking.
Yep. Then Gopal?
Visash, visamike. I don't know what this means.
To weigh. Or like to measure, that kind of weighing. Okay, then Valentina?
Shochash, shochimeke, so after being born.
But first conjugation, so shoch.
Shochmeke.
Shochmeke, very good. Okay, then Sandra?
Mien shuash, mien shumeke.
Yeah.
After arriving.
Yep, and then Sonia?
Tolash, tolmeke, after coming.
Okay, then for the last one for today, we'll do number 7, and everybody gets one sentence. And we start with Luan, and then also translate it.
Isish kana de meka me ugich pasham dingalena after we rest, although we had
yeah, after we relax
after
a bit.
we relaxed a bit, we start the work
anew, like ugich, literally new, gich, from new, anew. It's exactly like Russian snova. Okay, then Gopal.
Textum vozen nalmeke, my tuzam Mari yelmush kusarim. So after reading the text,
writing down the text.
Yeah, so after writing down the text for myself or something.
Exactly.
I translate it into the Mari language.
Very good. Then Valentina.
Mengishko pertilmeke metodin den chilaner genat kutiren nalena. So after going home, we spoke about everything or about various things with Hishide.
Yep, very good. So after we returned home, then Sandra.
Urokim ishtimeke ich chan televisorem onchish. After doing the homework, Ichan is watching television.
Watched television. But
yeah, sorry.
Yep. Okay, and then last one of the day goes to Sonia.
Yerangem somelmeke.
Somelameke was right.
Somelameke. Videm opto. Okay, so after weeding the flower bed or whatever bed, I would say this is like imperative.
Yep.
So after weeding the bed, water it.
Yep, pour water. Okay, very good. So everyone watching the recording now can watch a week's time warp and see how people's haircuts and clothes change. Okay, give me a moment. We're back and we're going to start with exercise number, well, I was going to say exercise number 8, but I think we might skip over that one. Let's start with exercise number 9 and just read the more sentences and translate them, and starting with Valentina.
Šudim solen petarimeke sergemet möngish kisht kaisht. So I think that's after mowing or after finishing mowing the grass. Sergei actually the family, right? His family went. Sergei's family went home.
Yeah, Sergei et al. Or whatever. Yeah. Right, then Sonia.
Kanalta meke me pasham shtnem. After getting up, I did some work.
Okay, almost. So kanal tash is, you're mixing it up with kinyalash. Getting up is kinyalash, but kanal tash.
Sorry, no, this is resting. Like
Exactly.
after having a rest, I did some work.
Okay, here I have to be careful. I did some work would be ishtenam, but
Okay.
it is ishtanem, not ishtenam. And what is ishtanem? What kind of grammatical form is this? I can't hear you, Sonia.
I want to do some work.
Exactly, it's desiderative.
Thank you.
So after relaxing, I want to do some work. Yeah, this one has to be careful with the second past tense and the desiderative. Both always have an N, but in the second past tense, you never have an E following it because we have the endings of the first conjugation there. Ishtenam, ishtenat, ishten, ishtena, ishtenda, ishtenet. Whereas in the desiderative, we always have ne. And remember the ne of the desiderative, if this helps you, in contrast with the Finnish potential ending and the Hungarian conditional ending, the cognate forms of this ne in other Uralic languages. Yeah, and we always want it in the desiderative and we never want in the past tense. Good. Number 3, Luan.
Kino manche meke me restauranisch porushna after we watched the movie, we went into the restaurant.
Yep. Very timely. Not. Good. Sandra?
Mörim pogimeke varenium sholtishna. After picking the berries, we cooked some jam.
Yep. Right. Then Reka?
Okay. Uramyślek meke sergen uderżemuzna. So after going out or to the street, we saw Sergei's daughter.
Good. Then Valentina?
Chaim Jumeke televizorim onchishna. So after drinking tea, we watched TV.
Right. Then Sonia?
Avanatul meke me teaterskayama. So after our mom, after the coming of our mom, we went. We are going to the theater.
Yeah, very good. This is an easy mistake to make, and you caught yourself. That we went would be kayenna with the geminate, a double N, but with one N, it's present tense. And yeah, that was correct. Then Luan.
Irugen kayemekische oder at which sentence was this 8 or?
Yeah, that's the
I
right
forgot.
one.
Okay, so Irugen kayemekische Iwuk Tolin after Iruk went Iwuk came.
In this context, if you just have kayash on its own, it can just also be leave. After Iruk left, Ivuk came. So we had an exchange of persons and we had the exchange of exactly one consonant. Yeah. Okay, then so the Dechvara constructions should now be replaced with Meke, and you already see the conjugation class on the participle, so it should be easy from that front. And we'll start with Sandra and also translate the whole thing then.
Okay, Universitätes Tomo Dechvara becomes Universitätes Tolmeke after coming to the university.
Yep, then Reka.
Dekandana Kutremo Dechvara, then it will be Dekandana Kuterimeke, isn't it?
Yep.
So after talking to the dean?
Yep. Then Valentina.
Shudo solimo dechvara becomes shudo solmeke dechvara. So after cutting the grass.
I'm not sure I heard. Can you say it again?
Solmeke?
Solemeke.
Solemeke.
Yeah. It's second conjugation. And in the second conjugation, we need to have the vowel both in the participle and then now in the converb. Okay, then Sonia.
Parengem pogama dechvara, parengem pogameke, and it's after collecting mushrooms.
Not
mushrooms. It's the knedel. Dumplings.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Okay, thank you.
The mushrooms is pongo, so it is.
Sorry, so I suppose they mean something like they go to the garden and they get some potatoes.
Yep, exactly.
Something like that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then Luan.
Dictantem tergeme dechvara becomes dictantem tergemeke, and it means after checking the dictation.
Yep. And the dictations are serious business, not just among the Maoris, but in Russia in general. It's a very popular thing. They have big events called in like the Totalny Diktant, the absolute dictation, where then everybody gathers together and writes a dictation, and then you get back with your corrections. Right, then Sandra.
Pensies lekme dechvara is pensies lekmeke after retiring.
Yep. And then last one goes to Reka.
Vichulash puramo dechvara. Vichulash purneke. So after the water has started boiling.
Yep, exactly. Right, I think we can skip this one. But here, I want to then that we have the law forms and we also want to have the inessive. So it would be like if we had, let's say, Skol, school, it would be then Skol laste in the schools. And we'll start with Valentina, and we can do it we'll do Jal, Sult, Ver, Chodera in that order. Starting with Valentina.
Okay, so we have Jal, plural Jalla, and inessive Jallaste.
Yeah, then Sonia.
Verla, verlaste.
Okay, we can do it line by line if that's an easier. Then Luan.
Urem laste.
Yeah. Then Sandra.
Pörtlaste.
Yeah. Reka.
Surt. Surtlaste.
Yeah. Then Valentina.
Чадиралаште.
Yeah. Then Sonia.
Ola, olala, olaste. And sorry, I probably misheard you. I heard it like you said yal and ver, and you probably were saying yal surt ver.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, but
Yeah, sorry about that.
no problem. So then, yeah, but yeah, you do this one now.
I think I've already. Is it ola, olala, olalaste?
Yes. Maybe I just didn't hear it. Sorry. Okay, then Luan.
Engelaste.
Okay, then so for the next one, you should form a sentence. Maybe I'll just assign them and give everyone half a minute to work it through, and then we can look at our answers. And Sandra gets the first one, Reka the second, Valentina the third, Sonia the fourth, and Luan the fifth. And you have to inflect the verb, an appropriate person. So Sandra, do you have a version? Can I help with the words somewhere?
I briefly looked up what kushkash was,
okay,
and which conjugation class it was.
The usual problem, yeah.
Okay, so maybe Mugai yemesh chure ralaste kushkesh. How many berries?
What kind of berry?
Ah, what kind? Sorry, that would be minjar. What kind of berries grow in the forest?
Yeah, the exercise key has the word order different, but my feeling is that both are legitimate. They're just like fine differences in the information structure. That the key says chodralashte mogai yemesh kushkesh. Yeah. Okay, then Reka.
Okay, so here is the same, isn't it? Like I could start with mogai. So mogai kol ila Mari Respublikase Ingalaste. So what sort of fish live in the rivers of the Mari Republic?
Yeah, and here again the key starts with the Mari Respublikase Engerlaste, like in the rivers of the Maria Republic. And like my feeling is that they do it at the beginning of the sentence just sort of to mark that this is the given, the shared basis that we're working off. Okay, then Valentina.
So I had Tide Verla, Mogai исторический жаб дене Kildaltat. Or Kildaltit.
It would be Kildaltat, but this is like this is one of these verbs that is primarily used in this sense in the past tense. If you're talking about, because it's like to be connected, but it marks not a status but a process. So that like if you're talking about like when this like so the sentence as a whole would mean which with these places with which historical time are they connected? And even though in English we use a present tense here, in Mari this kildaltash, it marks the process of becoming connected with something. So
I
if they are
see.
connected with it now, you use the past tense form.
So kildaltenit.
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 Yep. Okay, then Sonia.
Jo, mogai olalaste shuko pertem vlak, or just pertem.
Pertem, yeah.
Pertem ustash.
Isht.
Ustash. Usta.
Yeah, the best version here would be ishtat. Third person plural, like
Okay.
they make, which is third person plural without a pronoun is very often like the impersonal.
Like in Russian.
Like in Russian, yeah.
Okay. I admire your patience, Jeremy.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine. Yeah, so in which, I mean, it's a strange question. In which cities are a lot of houses built? So it's also a question that has an answer, Yoshka Ola, at least at the time, at a time in the past, like around 2012, 2013, a lot of houses were being built in Yoshka Ola. Yeah, then Luan, the last one.
Österlaste Mogia, what is lying on the tables?
Yep. Very good. So with the next one here, it's again, the exercise key gives one version, but with a lot of these, so many different ones would go, would be fine with me. And so you can try your best version, and if it's not what's in the key, I'll tell you, but that doesn't mean that the version you gave me is wrong. And we'll start with Sandra.
Yeah.
It could be literally any one of them, yes.
I'm just gonna go for Pelerisch Uke.
But it should be ik. If you want to say not a single one, there's something missing.
I forgot what it is.
It's Gopal's favorite morpheme.
I'm sorry, Gopal, I don't remember.
Okay, it's the additive.
What is it? Oh, okay.
The additive at.
Ah, okay. Het is de ik Pelerischat Uke. There is no?
No, sorry. Continue.
Okay. There is not a single flower here.
That strikes me as perfectly legitimate. The exercise key says yang, but whatever. Okay, and I'm not sure if it's Gopal's favorite morpheme or just one, a very beloved one, but
Yeah, it is.
Okay, then Reka gets the next one.
Okay, let's see. Hier de rangiste ik something like an ogle. Here the rangist, that's the bed, isn't it?
Like a flower bed, yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably not kaik or something. But lektin ogle, I really don't know what to make of that.
Okay, so lektash in the first meaning we learn for it is like to leave, but it can also be to come up, to rise up. Like it's the standard word you use.
Grow.
Yeah. It's a standard word one uses, for example, for sun, when the sun comes up. It's like keche lektesh means the sun comes up, and it can also be then used for plants and the such if they grow.
Okay, so yedrangiste ik peredishat lektinoger.
Yeah,
not even one flower went up or grew in the bed.
Yeah, the exercise key says not a single shukshura, which would be a weed, not a single weed grew. But Peleder struck me as legitimate too. Yeah, if it can also be used with the moon, yes. The moon can also lektesh. Yeah, let's see if Peledish would be the natural choice in all of these. So next one is Valentina.
So I think it is Jur tolmogodim ik kaikat ok muro. So birds. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Now suddenly I can't hear you anymore, but I could before.
It looks like Valentina is maybe frozen.
Yeah.
Seems there was some issue with my connection.
Okay, but I think you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. So I was, my opinion, it was juurtol mogodim ik kaikat ok muro.
And
So
what?
I think that's birds or no bird sings during the rain while it's raining.
When the rain comes. Yeah. Okay, then Sonia.
To den irange persai ik shikshudat okay. His or her like flower beds are very nice. There is not a single weed.
Yeah, I just noticed I told Reka's version was actually what's in the key. I somehow my eyes slipped to the wrong line. That here the key suggests not a single flower grew in the flower bed. Okay, then Luan.
Kavashta ik pilat okoi. In the sky, not a single cloud can be seen.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one that Sandra now gets is not very difficult as an exercise, but it is pretty heavy as regards its content.
Me and ik yoltashat okay. I don't have a single friend.
Yes. Oh boy. Okay. So exercise 15, we're going on to to the next topic, which was the three-way system in spatial references, and if we can always manage to put in the right one. Yeah, and let's start with Reka.
Okay, so Alexei oxygen something bestända nigezat moyen okkert. So Alexei put his money, then somewhere should it be, or isn't it?
And what would somewhere be in this context?
Something with shko, so ala kushko.
Ala kushko, very good.
Yeah.
And
he can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, and you recognize this Allah probably because this is like Tatar Olo. I think it was Olo also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then Valentina.
Okay, so memnon something iktat bötirim ujin ogil. So ours something, and this Peter, is it a it's a surname, I guess?
No, it's the Mari version of Piotr, so it's like Peter, a given name.
So what could it be? We have seen Piotr somewhere, but it's negative. I have not seen them anywhere.
It's not I, but like Ujin Ogel. What person is that?
It's plural, isn't it?
No, it's singular. Maybe this one is easier to interpret if we do a cutoff point. Forget what's at the beginning and just look at iktat Pöterem Ujin Ogel and try to translate this once.
Okay, so Piotr can't be seen anywhere.
Yeah, what is this iktat?
Nowhere. No, I'm stuck with that.
Yeah, that's I think the thing that once we have this, it should become easier. Iktat is what we had here just on its own. It's ikte, one plus the
Right,
adjective
right.
one. Like nobody.
Nobody saw
Yeah.
Piotr, but then I don't understand what Memnon is doing there.
Well, it does make sense if you add one of these things to the memnon. Like memnon, it's of course it's genitive of us. So
None of us.
none of us is what we're going for.
Right.
And which one could that be?
I think that would be the first one.
Yes,
Memnon
exactly.
koklagic iktat pöterim ujin ogel.
Exactly. Like
Okay.
from among us, which then just means none of us.
Right.
Okay, then Sonia.
Something kagas samoliot chongesten tolo. I would say it's like from somewhere, a paper like I don't know what it's called in English.
Paper airplane.
Paper airplane. Okay. In Czech we call them swallows. Came flying. So it's ala kuchish kushich.
Exactly, which means then not just from somewhere, but from somewhere
Above.
Exactly, from somewhere up above. Yeah, so a heavenly paper airplane came, descended to the earth. Okay, then Luan.
Kushke onchal tidemo palet. So look up and I can't make sense of this. So like palette is you know. So is this like, do you know this or not?
Yeah, it's like, what is that? Or what is this? Do you
know? No, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then Sandra.
Kovat kusto. Faktisch de irangen somela. Yeah, probably alla kusto.
Yeah.
Where's your grandma? Somewhere in the garden. Not sure what Yerang is.
It's a flower bed.
Also not sure about Samela.
Weeding, to weed.
Okay, she's somewhere in the garden weeding the flower bed.
Right, and then Reka gets the non-challenging one.
Okay, Krishna Tureimura. So somewhere up above, lark is singing.
Yeah, or just up above or so. Okay. Yeah, compound words. This is a bit random in this exercise, in this chapter, but why not? Let's do it. Start with Valentina.
Okay, so Turi Muro is a lark song.
Then Sonia.
Chodera Yamash, forest berries or berry.
Yep, that's right. Luan.
Tung Pasha is like the main word.
Yeah, so tung as a noun can be like the stem of something or so, but it's often just as an adjective, the main. Then Sandra.
Shorek kutu. I don't know.
A sheep herd.
Okay.
Right, then Reka.
Ushkal kutu. That should be the cow herd.
Yeah, then Valentina.
I'm getting called birds. So bird song Kaik Muro.
Yeah. Then Sonia.
Koevit. No idea. It's like vit is water.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what is it together with kue.
Kue is a tree, a very important tree, especially in Russia.
Oh yeah, is it like koivu?
Yep.
Birch.
Exactly.
Birch.
And then what could birch water, what could that be?
Is it like the birch sap?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right. Then Luan.
Suot kayak is so suot was something like farmstead, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's a bird that lives there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like birds kept at farmyard, so poultry. So like
Okay.
chickens and geese and ducks and the such. Okay, then Sandra.
Chororakayak, forest birds.
Yep.
Or bird.
Yep. And then Reka.
Savayuk. Sava was the site, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yuk, I forgot what it was.
It's voice, but also sound, depending on context.
So the sound when you're using the site?
Exactly. Then Valentina.
Then we have Yal Urem, so it's a village road, a street.
Yep. And then last one goes to Sonia.
But Pasha is like working around the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Housework. Yeah.
Chores.
What? Yeah.
Chores.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Möngüsü Pasha, the home work. Yeah. Okay. So here we have, we are looking for synonyms, understanding, knowing that not all of these synonyms are completely, as per usual, synonyms are rarely completely perfect, but they still both work in this case. And we'll start with Luan.
But vaktene motor kuskes, and the synonym to motor is sylne. Or probably also chivea. Or
Yeah.
that's this okay.
Would also work, I think. Yeah.
Next to the house, beautiful birch grows.
Very good. Then Sandra.
Itudim onchen yuvertem. I'm happy to see him or her or them. I know that the verb begins with K, but then that's everything. I know.
It's kuanash, second conjugation.
Kuanem.
Kuanem. Yep, that's right then. Okay, then Reka.
So yocsa möngis köpörtelt. The children come home or return home. Wait, this was in this class.
In this chapter it was, yeah.
Wait, it was something with икшыве or something like that.
Yeah.
Икшыве möngis köpörtelt.
Yep. Right, then Valentina.
Shudo soli mojap tolin shua. I think it's pagıt.
Yeah.
Shudo sholima pagıt tolin shua.
Yeah. And it means the whole thing?
So the harvest time, or time to the harvest time came.
Yep. Right, then Sonia.
Mogai sılne peledesh. Mogai motor peledesh. What a beautiful flower.
Yep. And then Luan.
Serashim nalmeke me besh guanishim. Serashim nalmeke me besh yivetishim. And that means before after we received or got the letter Oh, after I got the letter,
Yes.
I was very happy.
Yep. Very good. Okay, so I think we can skip over exercise 18, the exercise, like just questions to the text. And but we can do this one, mini dialogues, where we have a bunch of words that we want to insert into them wherever they fit. And we can start with Sandra.
Yelu ayda çöreler kayana. I don't remember what kuyash is.
To ripen, to become ripe.
Where are they? Mövlak kuyen?
You just say mörkuyen.
Mörkuyen.
Yeah. And what does it mean?
Yelu, let's go to the forest. The berries ripen.
Have ripened, yeah.
Have ripened.
Yeah, and I mean,
Should
this
I also do the second, or?
I was going to give that one to Reka, maybe.
Okay. Kızıt mürim pogaş japem uke. I don't have time to pick berries now. Me shudim solash kaina. We are going to make hay, mow the grass. Avamlan poishash kulesh. I have to help my mom.
Okay, very good. Then next line goes to Valentina.
Echan kutu tolin. I think it's shudim purto.
No.
So the herd came.
Yeah.
Right? Echan, the herd came.
Like putash, I mean, you're thinking like bring
give them, feed them,
but like putash, it's more like to lead and to bring in. It would be they want to
go somewhere.
Echan is supposed to bring the herd into the stable.
Okay. Okay, I'm not sure which one of this is. It's not surt, surtish, but it's not here.
No, it's.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so it's voljukum, the cat. Bring in the cattle is what we're looking for. Okay, then Sonia, the next two lines, because this one doesn't have anything in it.
Ушкалым кунам пурташ, ушкалым йыкто давара лыташ пурташ.
Purto would it then be like imperative? But...
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, grandma, and I'm not quite sure about kunam. It's like where to?
When. It's a
when,
bit. Yeah.
When shall I bring the cows? Like give them water and then take them to the shed.
Yeah. It's a bit strange because I mean, in the first one, it's already voljukum to bring in the cattle, but maybe then in the first line, it's the sheep are meant or something like that. I don't know. I don't fully understand the logic here myself. Okay, then Luan, the next two lines.
Yelu the kunam mangishkaya da and shudem solen betaremeke Yelu, when do you go home after I have finished mowing the hay.
Very good. Then Sandra.
I can't really make anything of this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this one is a bit strange. What they want are like unusual, let's say syntactically unaccustomed. Shuko ulo is what we're looking for. What then is element for element is a and expression word. Solash, to mow, with possessive suffix, second person plural, and shuko ulo would be like there is a lot. So do you have a lot to mow? Like, is your mowing much? Kind of something like that. Yeah. I think we had this sporadically, but we haven't really looked at this too systematically. The way that we can attach possessive suffixes also to the infinitive. Yeah. Okay, then Reka.
Okay, peş şokacak. Olur. So there wasn't a lot.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah. Menyar şagat kıç pıtarıda. Okay, I'm not quite sure about this. Like, in how many hours did you need to finish? Is it that?
Yeah.
Okay. And iktaşnıl şagat kıç 4 hours.
Yeah. Like 4 hours or so, something like that. Okay, great. Oh, Proverbs, these are always fun to make sense of. Let's see if we can manage. Starting with Valentina.
Okay, so we have ik korno geç çila kırniş kayaş liyaş. Okay, so from one road, everything. Okay, so is it like all roads, or from all roads you can go to any roads? Something like that.
Yeah. And as for the meaning, I'm not sure. Is it like all roads lead to Rome? I think it's more like there's a problem in information science, which is actually called the Helsinki bus terminal problem, which is I won't get too far into detail, but it's like it's based just on the layout of Helsinki as a city, which is that if you're taking a bus from central town in Helsinki, basically all the buses that go out of town, they go on, God, what's that big road called? The Mannerheimintie. Basically all the buses go on Mannerheimintie, so that basically that no matter where you're going, you're on the same road at the beginning of your trip. Yeah, and then next one goes to Sonia. I can't hear you. I'm not sure if you're saying anything.
Sorry. Biał kornokaczyk oigo kornokuju. Happy road is short, and the road which is sad is long.
Yeah, it's like the road of happiness and the road of sorrow, something like that.
So there is much more sadness in life than there is
basically,
happiness.
Yes. Yeah, a cheerful one. Okay, then Luan.
Poromut chonimat urikta nice word warms up the soul.
Very good. And then Sandra, the last one.
Yamaje u shonjo ku. Like butter, but like a soul like stone.
Yeah.
Or off stone, I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like if somebody has very sweet words to say, but does not have a sweet heart to go with them. Okay. So the next one, we have a little photo story, and here we're seeing this is a general Russian problem. There are very few names that there are actually I can't remember what exactly it is, but there are some statistics with different European countries. The diversity of names correlated with the size of the population, and where you have pretty much the two extreme points are Russia on the one hand and Estonia on the other. Estonia, very small population, but very many names that are in wide usage. And Russia, very large population, but everybody's an Ivan or an Alexander or whatnot. So now suddenly we have a married couple of a Yelu and an Ichan, and they're supposed to be different people. So sorry for this narrative dissonance with the rest of the textbook. And we can do it picture for picture, and we start with Reka.
So Yelu and Ichan, Yalish Kayat. Yelu and Ichan go to the countryside.
Yeah. In spite of there being so few names, I'm still thinking that maybe we can change these for the next version of the textbook. Valentina gets the next one.
Okay. Ялиште игече вашталтин юштелаш окли вуд юшто. So it's not possible to bathe, I guess, because the water is cold.
Yeah, and the first part,
so in the village, but I'm stuck with Vastalten.
Vastaltash is to change intransitive.
So that maybe the weather change.
The weather changed.
The weather changed, and therefore it is not possible to bathe because the water is cold.
Yeah. Okay, then.
I have one question about this one. So in this, it looks like the subject is changing from the converb to the main verb.
No, it's not a converb. It's here it's second past tense, which comes from the converb, but it's like it's two clauses basically. It's a Yalashte igeche vastalten, the weather changed in the countryside. Yushtelash okli, you can't swim.
Right, got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Jeremy, I have a question. What is code for the Mari people? Is it something like in Finland, or are they more like the European people?
My feeling is that it's more like in Finland, that it has to be pretty cold for people to call it cold. And there is actually I'm sure there are plenty of these all over Russia, but there is a short drive south of Yoshka-Ola. There is a sort of a holy spring of sorts that is said by the locals to have healing power, especially if you jump into it and submerge your whole body, which when we were there in 2014, we did, but for me, it was really just jumping in and then shoot out and regret all the choices I've made in life to lead me to this point. And though I had some students who were a bit more hardy and who spent some time actually swimming in this spring, because it's like there's a spring and then there's like a sort of an underground collection thing that you get to it by going through like a wooden like not a manhole cover, but like a trap door, and then you can really submerge your whole body in it. It's like about this wide but 2 meters deep, but for the Maris that's okay jumping into this. Yeah. Okay, so I think it was Sonia's turn with the next one.
Nono ketchustakiat nonon dech lishne mux omarta ulo. They lie in the sun, so they are sunbathing.
Yeah.
and sorry, I will just check what Lishna. Okay, there is like next to them or close to them. There is a beehive. Beehives.
Yep. Okay, then Luan gets the dramatic climax of the narrative.
Mugsprak nonen hier chong stillet deva bishkelet the bees fly around they sting.
Yeah. This teva, it's hard to translate. It's like Russian vot. It's like, oh, and look, they're stinging them or something like that. Here we have a nice example of this frequentative ill, because it's chongestilet, they fly around. It's not just, it's not so unidirectional as flying from A to B. Okay, now Sandra gets the horror movie scene.
Kastene nonomarin ogit kert, kravat, jemalne kolja vlak kudalestad. In the evening, they cannot sleep. They are unable to sleep. Under the bed. What is kudalestad? I don't know the verb. I'm sorry.
To run around.
The mice mice are running around under the bed.
Yeah. Or it could be, if this was a capital K, it could also be guys called Nikolai are running around under the bed. Okay, then Reka.
Okay, Wes kitchen, Ole kishto, kishkim ujet, nunopesh kishkudach ludinet. So the following day, Ole kishto, I don't really know.
Olek, we have this in Olek Mari, which is like Meadow Mari. So Olek is.
So they see, as I see a snake in the meadow.
Yeah.
And they are afraid. They're very much afraid of the snake.
Yeah, they were very scared of the snake or so. Okay, then Valentina.
Vara juresh tungale jur polemim nertish. So then it starts raining, and the rain, I don't know, is it raining inside or?
It's like nertash is like to drench or to penetrate.
Very strong.
Yeah, like to go nertash, to soak, to moisten. Yeah, so the rain basically makes the wall, gets into the room. It makes the room wet. And then the last one goes to Sonia.
Отпускам му чашка ертараде мъгъшкащ каящ. I don't know what ertarade is.
Yeah. Okay, so ertarash is like carry out, and ertarade is like without carrying it out. The
okay. So they left the holiday before it finished.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's the gist.
And they went home.
Yeah. So without the day, carrying out their holiday to the end, they went home. Yeah. Yeah. Not by the Mari Village Tourism Office, but I think it was the Mari Village Adventure Office or something like that for adventure tourism. Like, who wants to lie around on a sunny beach when you can Yeah. Okay. So I think we're done with the exercises, and I am going to stop the recording.